Welcome to today's show, Success and Intentional Lifestyle. I'm your host, Jeff Heiser, a motivator, a leader, and a communicator. Good morning and welcome to Success and Intentional Lifestyle. I'm your host, Jeff Heiser, and I am so happy that you've tuned in. Many thanks go out to everyone who is listening around the world, and I sure hope that your morning has been a great start to your day. You know, you can find out more about Success and Intentional by visiting the Jeff Heiser Radio website at www.jeffheiserradio.com. That's www.jeffheiserradio.com, or by visiting facebook.com/Jeff Heiser Radio. You know, this morning I have a very special guest who's going to be joining us here on the show. And this special guest is going to be one of our new talk show hosts. And her name is Dr.Gloria Burgess. And like I said, she is going to be one of our newest talk show hosts right here on Talk Network Radio. And I can't tell you how special this is going to be. Her show will be starting at, I guess, the end of the month. We're going to find out more from her once we get her on. And I have to tell you how I met Dr. Gloria. And I hope she doesn't mind if I call her Dr. Gloria, but that's what I'm going to do. So I was at an event. It was a John Maxwell event. And I was sitting in the audience, and this lady gets up on the stage, and I'm thinking, oh, man, another one of these people going to give a talk and la, la, la. And she went into this speech about how if you want to change the world, you need to change the moms that raise the kids in the world, and on, and how that could change the world. And without mothers, that none of this would be possible. And I have to tell you that talk has stuck with me ever since. And it always like comes back to me. I'm not going to give much away about her. I'm going to let her talk about it in just a few minutes. And I know she's going to do it justice because that's the way she is. Dr. Burgess is one of the most loving, charismatic people that I've ever met. And you know when you know the type of people that you meet, and when you meet them, you feel like you've known them all your life, your entire life. It's like it's just like, wow. Well, that's her. She does amazing work that we'll talk about during our show. And once you meet her, whether it's in person or here on the radio, you will know that your life has been touched by an amazing person. Dr. Gloria, welcome to Success and Intentional Lifestyle. I am so happy that you're here today.
Well, thank you so much, Jeff. I'm very, very excited to be here with you today. And I really appreciate the opportunity to be a host on Talk Network Radio, TNR, not only to support your work, but also to support your listeners and to just to equip them to think differently, to be different if they choose to be. I'm just so excited for that opportunity. Thank you.
Well, we really are excited, and you know, I'm going to get right into the show today because I've got a lot of things I want to talk about, and a lot of things I want to ask you about. And you know, having the privilege to get to know you, it's been easy to see from the things that you've told me about and things I've read about that your life has been through several seasons, and it seems like every time you've gone through one of these seasons that it's prepared you for something new down the road. And now here you are. You're ready to start a new radio show, and like, wow. And of all your life experiences, what do you think has had the biggest impact on your life? Are you right there now, or is there something that has just been this thing that is just made all the difference in everything that you've done in your life?
You know, that's really a great question. I can't think of any one single thing, Jeff, but what I can tell you is that being open and being one of those people who's just a lifelong learner and not being attached to my plan because, God has a sense of humor.
Yes, he does.
So whenever I have a plan, it's like, he says, okay, now make room for me. And so if there's one defining aspect of my life, it's really getting out of the way and really remembering that God is in the driver's seat. And so all of the experiences, the moments, the big events in my life, they just keep getting bigger
and bigger
and better,
and bigger.
And, beyond what I could possibly dream.
Yeah. There's so many things that I want to tell the audience, our listeners, about you, and I just don't even know where to start. So I'm just gonna give it to you, and I want to know if you could tell us, what should people know about Dr. Gloria Burgess?
Well, so let me just start by saying I currently live in the Pacific Northwest of the United States, and we refer to this as, the best place in the world to live. We call it God's country.
I tend to agree with you on that, by the way. I know where you live, and it's a beautiful area.
It is just stunning. I've lived here for 30 years. And, Jeff, on one side we have the Olympic Mountains, which are snow-capped, beautiful mountains you can hike in. There's the Pacific Ocean. I live on a little patch of the ocean called Puget Sound. On the other side of us are another range of mountains, so we're surrounded by just beauty, old-growth forests, all of that. And the people here are just incredible people, wonderful people. We moved here, my husband and I, 30 years ago to raise our daughter, and we have never looked back. We just love it here. Before I lived here, I lived in Los Angeles and Michigan, and I was born in a small rural town in northern Mississippi called Oxford. And
how far is that from Jackson?
Okay, so you know where I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
So it was at a time in the United States when, there was just a lot of civil strife, a lot of racial prejudice, bigotry, all of that. So I would say that my life has been shaped and formed by the various places I've lived in, and so has my work, my ministry. And so that's just a little bit of a snippet about my background, and I'd be happy to share more.
Well, I have to share with the audience that and I'm not going to tell your town; they can go look that up. But where your town is, it's like 2 main roads up. There's a road that goes through probably the most beautiful part of the country. I think it's the what do they call it? Is that? Oh,
the Cascade Highway.
Oh, the most beautiful road I've ever been on. You ride that from your place over to like Spokane, or you got to come down and then go over to Spokane. It's amazing. You don't realize what beauty there is in the country until you get on a road like that, and it's like, just unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. I used to actually teach in Central Washington, so I would take that road about once every 6 weeks to teach for a week-long leadership program. And driving that road, you have to pay attention because it's a logging road, so lots of traffic, logging traffic. But you can just lose yourself in the environment.
Oh,
it is
absolutely!
Just such a beautiful drive. It's stunning.
It's it's easy to get inspiration about life. Where you live, it really is. And every time we go out to Seattle and then drive north, it's like, why don't I live out here? Well, I got 2 grandkids here. That's why. And I'm close to the grandkids. With so much experience in your background, and I only know that because we've spoke so many times, what will you be focusing on in your show?
Well, the focus of my show is really about how to live well. The title of my show is called Legacy Living. And, how we live, Jeff, is how we do everything in every sphere of our life. In our relationships, in our friendships, in work, in our families, in our communities. So legacy living will be the focus. And that really encompasses just about everything you can think of.
Yeah,
I'm very passionate about helping people be on purpose, about tapping into their own passion, about finding their purpose, and about taking charge of themselves, about, self-leadership or personal leadership. And so all of those facets, we'll cover all of those facets, and then some.
I just had a conversation. In fact, it was just over the weekend. I had a conversation with an individual about living. And you said something that really perked my interest. It's about, your show is about living. Well, there are people that they're alive. Their body is alive and they're functioning, but they're not living. What do you say to those type of people? I mean, how do you help those kind of people that, they're like drones, and that's all they are their whole life. And then there's these people that are so alive. It's just, you just want to be, you're just gravitated to them.
Well, when I was a little girl, my father used to say there are basically three types of people in the world. There are people who make things happen. There are people who watch things happen. And then there are people who say, what happened, right?
Right.
And I really want to speak into the life of people who, who are excited about living, who are out there to be their best, to give their best, to serve well. And I'm also interested in empowering people, and I don't believe we can really empower people, but to pour life into them so that they can say, oh, maybe there is something more for me in my life. Maybe there is something more, and what might that be? So I'm really interested in those people who watch what happens, or those people who say, what happened, as well as those people who are just full of life and who know where they're going and maybe need a little bit of direction, but also those people who are, maybe they've hit a snag in the road. Maybe they've had a life circumstance where they were full of life at one time, full of joy, full of passion, but, maybe they have gone through a relational challenge. Maybe they've gone through a work challenge, a life challenge, something, that just kind of has put them on the side of the road for a while.
It's what I like to say, stuck.
Speaking life into all of them.
Yeah, I like to call that being stuck. You're stuck in life, and so what do I do? Okay, it's the same thing day in and day out. What do you do? How do you get there? And your show is going to have a lot of that, how I get there stuff, right?
Exactly.
Oh, man, I'm telling you, listeners, this is a show that you need to tune into, because Dr. Gloria is, I like to say she's mesmerizing, but she really is. Once she gets rolling, she really is something to listen to. It seems like every time we speak, every time we correspond in email or whatever, you're headed to this country and this place and that event and doing this keynote and that keynote. So I have to ask you, what do you do for fun? Or is that your fun?
Well, I both is the true answer. I love speaking. I love, again, pouring life into other people, and that's where I find a lot of my joy. That's what I do for fun. Years ago, I was really intentional about integrating my work and the rest of my life, because I had lived, for a number of years, Jeff, where I, was one way at work and, left about 50% of me in the parking lot, and totally different when I went home.
So you were a drone.
I was a drone.
Yep.
Been there, done that.
Been there, done that. Yep.
Yeah. But some of the other things I do for fun, I love to travel. I love to go to new places. I've probably been in, almost 40 countries. I love to cook. I love to read. I love to dance. I love just, hanging out with my husband and taking walks. So all of those things are part of what I do for fun.
So I know two things that you haven't talked about that you like for fun, and I wish you would just talk about them, and that's music and the theater.
Well, music...
I mean, you have your email address. It has the word jazz in it. I mean,
music and theater are so. Let me tell you, I sing all the time when I'm around the house. I sing in a couple of choirs. I play instruments, and actually, my husband and I just started a new season of our work, where we're bringing our work together after years of working independently, being entrepreneurs or me working in corporate.